Matt, LL Cool J had a song that went, and I'm going to read the lyrics. Me to the rest that'll all get sliced and diced. Competition's paying the price.
You're like Max
I'm going to
Keller.
knock you out. Mama said knock you out. And Matt, in this fight, I anticipate a knockout. I anticipate the over-under to be set at half a round. It'll realistically be 1.5. But this is one of those fights where you're probably going to get a knockout. We've got Hurricane Ike Villanueva taking on Street Jorge Gonzalez. And Matt, I'm going to throw it back a little bit because we were really looking forward to Jorge Gonzalez's anticipated UFC debut against Kenneth Berg. And really, all things considered, things haven't changed all that much. Berg, yeah, maybe he's going to employ a little bit more grappling in his fights, but typically known as a striker. So let's throw it back to our anticipated Jorge Gonzalez debut. And in steps Gonzalez, and like I said, a lot of people might not be familiar with him. He's fought Vinny Magalhaes in the past. They were supposed to rematch in the PFL last year, but Gonzalez was out due to injury. Oh, by the way, this fight was already scheduled some time ago. Let me take you back to that magical card. Matt, you don't actually know this before we're starting here. This fight was scheduled originally as the co-main event to Oscar De La Hoya's foray into mixed martial arts. This was going to be the co-main event of Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz 3. Unfortunately, Gonzalez pulled out. Berg wanted to still take a fight. It didn't happen, but I digress. The reason why Jorge Gonzalez got this shot is that at the end of June, he just signed with Dominance MMA. Hate to break it to you, but Ali Abdelaziz has a ton of fighters normally competing in the UFC, but on these Abu Dhabi cards, you're going to find a lot of them. And also, Gonzalez was looking to come back and return from injury with UWC in Mexico and take a fight against a guy that I couldn't even find on the internet, in Carlos Rodriguez. Now he's going to come in here and take on Kenneth Berg. Go back and watch the Jorge Gonzalez fight with Luke Barnett from ACA if you want an idea of this guy. He'll give one to take one. His striking's quite good, but if you can land combinations and pressure him, you're in for a good night. All right, and we'll bring it back here because now he's taking on Hurricane Ike Villanueva, a guy that we anticipated his UFC debut against Chase Sherman. And for Villanueva, he was coming off of 2 first-round knockout wins over former UFC competition in Roger Narvaez and Rashad Coulter. And while those were good wins, he was primarily known as a light heavyweight. And you can see from the graphic right there in his last fight, weighed in at 232, got finished in the second round of his fight against Chase Sherman. Sherman coming back into the UFC. So it was a really interesting one there, but he didn't fare all that well. Now he's dropping back to 205. You know and love Jorge Gonzalez from 205 in the lower weight classes. So it makes for an interesting fight here. I think, again, it has knockout written all over it. Oh, yeah. How do you see this one?
I think this one's pretty cut and dry. I think Jorge Gonzalez has a huge advantage in the feet, in athleticism, in cardio, in power. Really anything that he needs, he's going to be able to pull out of his back pocket. Ike Villanueva really didn't impress me, especially in that last fight against Chase Sherman. I understand he was moving up to heavyweight, but still, Chase Sherman's not going to knock your socks off with anything too crazy. There's a reason that he had been cut from the UFC, and he was doing bare knuckle fighting. Nothing bad against Chase Sherman. He's a tough fighter. He's decent. He did look better when he came back, but Chase Sherman's not the cream of the crop, and I don't think I'd say he's as good as Jorge Gonzalez is, and I think Jorge Gonzalez should be able to win this fight quite easily.
Jorge Gonzalez, for what it's worth, and I know we talked about it in the previous breakdown, but when he fought Luke Barnett, that was one of those ones where we're just going and swinging wild and something's going to happen. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? But it's one of those ones where either guy could definitely find a path to a knockout. If you look over at the odds, they've shifted heavily in favor of Villanueva, actually. Gonzalez open a minus 185 favorite, currently sitting close to a minus 100. Villanueva opening as a plus 160, currently sitting at a minus 122. So really interesting in terms of all of that. It should be a great fight, but again, I see a path more so for Jorge Gonzalez to get the win than I do for Ike Villanueva here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just think Jorge Gonzalez is the more complete athlete out of the two, and that'll be able to get him the win.
Matt, really looking forward to this fight. And the entire card, we get an extended look at our main event between Pedro Munhoz and Frankie Edgar. You're not going to want to miss that. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. And as we always say, let's get into it.